Very good evening to you. I'm Damien Best with Sports Night. Let's start with this one. The Co-Operators General Insurance BABA Premier League season began this evening at the Barbados Community College Gym. The opening game was a big one, with the newly promoted Hawks being thrown straight into the fire against title contenders Urban Vibes St. John Sonics. With a live report from the BCC Gym on what went down, CBC's Mark Seal. Good evening to you, Mark.
Well, thank you very much, Damien. Here at the Barbados Community College Gym, we witnessed the first game of the season, and it was close up to about the first three quarters, where we had the Urban Vibes St. John Sonics up against the Hawks. Eventually, the Sonics would have been quite handsomely by 12, 82-17, but it was close. In the first quarter, the Hawks were actually leading by 4, 22-18. Then at halftime, the Sonics eked ahead by just 1 point, 36-35. Then in the third quarter, the Sonics went up by 9, 58-49, but then they had a monster fourth quarter where they won by 12, 82-70. Now it's a very interesting game where we have the Sonics bulking up in the off-season. They have about 4 players over from other teams. We have Jamar King over from Warrens, Ramon Simmons and Charles Vanderpool over from Pinelands. Charles Vanderpool being the inspirational captain of the Pinelands team, and Stefan Yard from Cavaliers, he's also over to the Sonics. Remember, the Hawks, they used to play in the first division back in the 80s, where we had players like Mally Best and Ronald Goddard playing for Banks Hawks in the YMCA. Well, the Hawks are back into the top ranks. They had a bit of a hard baptism, but it was a fairly good showing by the Hawks team. Maybe they will actually be able to represent themselves here in the Premier League as they try to stay in the Premier League in 2017. Now on the court behind me, the second game has already started, where we have Lakers going against Station Hill Cavaliers. But just to also tell you about the points in the earlier game, we had a game high 29 for Ramel Bino of the Hawks. Bino getting 29 points, while Shaquan Newton, he had 14, and Tremaine Shaw, he had 11. Well, for the Sonics team, Charles Vanderpool, in his first game for the St. John team, he had 19, and Akeem Marsh, he had 16. So that is the first game where we have Urban Vibes St. John Sonics winning 82-70 over the Hawks. I'll be back later on during Sports Night, where I'll give you an update on the current game where Lakers are up against the Cavaliers. Back to you, Damien.
Well, thanks so much, Mark. So the Sonics, the team to beat definitely this season. Well, in just over 24 hours, the West Indies and England will be renewing their long-time rivalry on the Limited Overs Arena in Antigua. Sean Green looks ahead.
After a fruitful and entertaining regional Super 50, the final West Indies team is ready to take on England. The Windies unit is made up entirely of a new generation of cricketers under the leadership of the improving Jason Holder. What the regional tournament did was provide Kieran Powell an opportunity to revive his international career. And if it's one thing which the Windies need badly in limited overs and test, is someone to partner Craig Brathwaite at the top. I will have no problem with the attacking Evan Lewis punching at 3. Shea Hope, though, has proven that he loves batting one down, but he's still good enough to handle the spot at number 4.
Beautifully played.
And once he's not wasted as an opener, which he clearly isn't. In Antigua, you need good spinners, and the off-spin of the tournament's top wicket taker Ashley Nurse, along with Devendra Bishu's leggies, could be a handful on those tracks. And if Shannon Gabriel continues to bowl quickly, his pace can back up the likes of Holder, Carlos Brathwaite, Rovman Powell, and perhaps even Jonathan Carter if needed. Now, one notable point is that they'll be playing under a new Australian coach in Stuart Law. On the British end, this will be the first time that both sides will be meeting internationally since the T20 World Cup, which went the way of the Windies, though being in a shorter format. They have the irrepressible Joe Root, who's a danger in any format, as well as the likes of Johnny Bairstow, Ben Stokes, and their skipper Ian Morgan. England have won both warm-up games in St Kitts and have already adjusted to the conditions. They too have a dangerous spin twin in Alid Rashid and Moeen Ali. I would say that the England team is much more experienced on paper than the West Indies, but the home advantage can level the playing field. Sean Green, CBC Sports.
Oh, remember, CBC TV8 and 94.7 FM will have live coverage of that game from 9:30 in the morning. Well, coming up, speed to burn at Corge and Parry Sports Day.
Come and have your say on the draft amendment to the Physical Development Plan before it goes into effect. The Town and Country Development Planning Office will be hosting a series of community meetings, and they want your input. Meetings will take place on Monday, February 27th at the Alexandra School, Speightstown, St. Peter. Queen's College, Husband St. James on Tuesday, February 28th. The Queen's Park Steel Shed, Bridgetown on Friday, March 3rd. And the Allen School, Belle Plaine St. Andrew on Monday, March 6th. All meetings begin at 6 p.m. The final meeting on the draft amendment to the Physical Development Plan takes place at the Oystins Bay Gardens, Christchurch on Saturday, March 11th at 3 p.m. Persons interested in examining the draft amendment should visit the Town and Country Development Planning Office, Block C, the Garrison St. Michael, between 8:15 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. or visit their website at www.townplanning.gov.bb/PDP. Written comments will be accepted through the website, or they may be sent to the Town and Country Development Planning Office by Wednesday, March 15th. Free health checks will be provided at all of the meetings.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Well, West Indies skipper Jason Holder is hoping to turn around the team's fortunes in ODI cricket. The regional side will be aiming to qualify for the 2019 World Cup, but are currently out of the running, sitting in 9th position in the ICC ODI rankings. Well, Captain Holder says the process won't be easy, so they have to take it one step at a time.
Again, we're taking it game by game. I think it's important that we, deal with England first. It's our first series in the year. They're coming off a tough series in India as well. So they'll be looking to, improve their performances from their last series, and likewise, we will be looking to do the same. So I think once we deal with it game by game, and we just go down there and see where we end up. It feels as though it's a clean slate. We've got quite a few changes in our administrative part. This is a situation for us players, to adapt to it, get accustomed to the new coach, the new director of cricket, and obviously new CEO brings something in terms of administration side. But it's important for us just to deal with cricket. That's the only thing we can control. I think once we look at cricket and deal with cricket, that's inevitably our field. So.
Well, let's change things up just a bit. Manchester City buried Huddersfield yesterday to move one step closer to the FA Cup. Sergio Aguero netted twice in their 5-1 triumph at the Etihad, as Pep Guardiola inched a bit closer to winning his first major title with the club. Well, a total of 5 records were broken as Set B dethroned former champion Set F at the Coleridge and Parry Interhouse Sports Day held at the National Stadium. Amassing a total of 785.5 points, Set B took the crown from Set F, who were 129.5 points behind in second on 656. Third went to Set E, Set C took fourth, Set D were fifth, while Set A settled for sixth position. Victor Ludor went to Rashim Griffith of Set A with 62 points, while Azaria Arthur of Set B took Victor Ludor with 58. Here are the 100-meter highlights. Coleridge and Parry in the house. Let's get right to the action. Girls under 13 100 meters. This one going down to the wire with Kian Russell of Set C in blue, edging Shakuria Trotman of Set E in orange in the final 20 meters to win in 14.81. Trotman second, 15.35, while Raquela Skinner took third. The under 13 boys had a clear winner from the get-go, and it was all about Kimani Cox of Set E in the orange shirt. He's running in lane number 4. The winning time, 13.45, way ahead of Eron Prescott-Wiggins of Set D and Timo Ross of Set E. The girls under 15 race was a bit closer, at least for Akeelia Lovell of Set D. She's in lane 4. Mia Ford putting on a big challenge as well in lane 6. She's represented Set B, but Lovell holds on to take the win in 13.05 seconds. Ford second, 13.20, and Faith Codrington of Set E third, 13.40. To the boys under 15, and Kishan O'Chillian of Set A in lane number 4. knew it was his race to win from the start. O'Chillian in the yellow, winning in a time of 13 seconds flat. Griffith and Sutton battling for second, and it would eventually finish in a tie, 13.30. The 100s were getting more and more competitive, as seen in the girls under 17 race. Anika Pharma of Set D in lane 5 coming late to spoil the show. Gets home in 13.72 seconds. Second was Jaquita Griffith of Set E, while Tamia Battleshield of Set A was third. To the under 17 boys, with all the focus on Robert Ewart of Set D. But this one will be a major upset, as Tafari Bishop of Set E in the closing stages takes the win in 11.68. Ewart second, 11.76, and Chad Ellis and Tariq Hunt tying for third, 11.91. The big girls now of the school, the under 20s, Amara Moore of Set E in lane 6, dismissing the field in emphatic fashion. Her time 13.97. She's followed by Asaria Arthur of Set B and Giselle Griffith of Set A. And finally, the race everyone was waiting to see, the under 20 boys. Rasheem Griffith of Set A in yellow, while it was a done deal, cruising to the title of fastest boy at the school, 11.50 seconds. Second went to Jones of Set B, 11.90, while Jermaine Hall of Set D took third, 11.93. Coleridge and Parry Secondary School having their day in the spotlight. Well, punters will get to place their wagers as early as tomorrow morning for Saturday's big Sandy Lane Barbados Gold Cup race day, as the Barbados Turf Club has in place a new tote wager system. This system aligns Barbados with its international counterparts, and although it has only been newly introduced to the Garrison Savannah, it will open doors for local racing globally.
With the new system, what this allows us to do, not only bring local racing that our local punters here at the Garrison can place their wagers on, but this can now take us further abroad to the international field, where we can take local racing to the international scene, and punters overseas can now bet on local racing, and likewise local people can bet on overseas racing. So that's what we mean by simulcasting and commingling.
Well, the Sandy Lane Gold Cup is set for this Saturday, March 4th, with a post time of 11:30 in the morning. In an NBA Eastern Conference showdown last night, the Washington Wizards took over sole possession of the third spot with their win over the Toronto Raptors. Well, let's go back now to the Erie, where our Mark Seal is covering the opening games of the Co-Operators General Insurance BABA Premier League season. Earlier we heard of the Sonics and the Hawks. Well, let's now hear about the opening exchanges between Station Hill Cavaliers and Barbados Lumber Company LSC. Mark, what's the latest?
Well, thank you very much, Damien. In this basketball game with about 7 seconds to go, Lakers are leading Cavaliers by just 1 point, 19-18. Is that sort of first quarter? As you hear the buzzer, so after the first quarter, Lakers leading the Cavaliers 19-18. But I have with me a bit of history was created tonight. Actually, a whole heap of history was created tonight. We have our first ever female women's coach in Premier League. Now, we understand that maybe there was a female coach back in the day with Marcia Oxley, where it may have been first division. But tonight, the first Premier League coach, Sade Clark, coaching the Hawks. Sade, you lost today, but it's a big step for you as far as getting into your coaching career.
Certainly, because I started at the Garrison Secondary and then I coached females, but I'm on to the Premier League now and looking to go a bit further with the national team as well.
So tell me about the gender barrier. How was it, the guys that accept you as their head coach?
They're the ones who approached me to coach them.
Well, we know that you're a national player. How is it to transition from playing in the women's game and coaching the men's game?
It's a bit different because the men's game is so fast-paced, but the guys are quick enough so they can adapt.
First game had a loss. You were actually leading in the first quarter, closing by the halftime, then end up by 12. How do you assess the game tonight?
I think we played really well. We played to our potential, but our downfall, I would say, is our bigs. We were outnumbered. They had about 4 bigs and we had 0, but we were only out-rebounded by 10, so I'm pretty comfortable with the effort that we put in.
Hopeful for the rest of the season?
Certainly.
That's Shade Clark now holding the coaching manual, coaching the Hawks. Lost today, but it's a big step for her as far as coaching in Barbados. History being made, the first female coach in Premier League in the BABA. And just to give you that update once again in the second game, Lakers versus Cavaliers. Lakers leading by 1, 90-18. Of course, we'll have the highlights for you tomorrow night, Damien, in Sports Night. Signing off, Mark Seal from Community College.
Thanks so much, Mark. Well, it is just under 30 years ago that Trinidad and Tobago claimed Barbados Gold Cup success. And this year they are in with a chance at glory. Tonight, CBC's Anne-Marie Burt takes a look at the entries in Conquest, Bespoke and Trini Navigator. She'll also look at the last of the local entries in Knight Rider.
Back for a third try at Gold Cup victory is the Gay Smith-owned Knight Rider, who make his running from the inside out of gate number 2. His highest place in the prestigious race is a third back in 2015, and trainer Edward Walcott Jr. would want his charge to go 2 better in this running. If Knight Rider wins on Saturday, he'll be the second horse to win the Derby and Gold Cup after Insta Titus. So good luck to him and his connections. The Gold Cup wouldn't be truly the region's premier horse race if there were not regional representation. So coming from the land of the hummingbird, Trinidad and Tobago, are 2 entries in Conquest, Bespoke and Trini Navigator. Trini Navigator arrived in the island only today, but comes with the hope of having back-to-back wins after claiming his last start on February 11th at the Santa Rosa Park in Arima. That race was actually a test to see if he was ready for the Gold Cup. And sure enough, with that performance, the Bascaran Bassar owned and John Bryan trained 4-year-old assured his connections packed their bags for Barbados. Local jockey Rashawn Lashman will pilot Trini Navigator, and with the Gold Cup title barely eluding him, he comes with blood in his eyes for Saturday.
It's kind of bittersweet, you know. He came second for the 3rd time in 3 years, so it's been alright. That's all I can say, you know.
You think 2017 will be the year that you take home the Gold Cup?
Well, hopefully, yeah, for sure.
Any plans seeing how the horse was running as to how you run the race, or are you going to wait till he gets here to see how it goes?
Well, by watching it, I mean, you got statical speed or you can lay off, so I guess we all decide on the break.
The other horse who's made the trip from TNT is Conquest Bespoke. The 5-year-old gelding, which placed second in the Trinidad Gold Cup on Boxing Day, has been on the island for about a week now. The American Red Horse did have a start on turf and transitioned to the sand tracks of Trinidad, having 3 starts with 1 win. So I'm sure transitioning back to the turf here at the Garrison is nothing new. Connection Robin Jai Singh is quite confident he will be competitive in the mix of quality horses. And pulling post position 1 to be on the rails is not daunting given his style of running.
He's bred for turf. He's by Spicer out of Medallo Romeo, so he's very well bred. He looks the part. His form in Trinidad, he only had 3 races, so there's not much to go on. But I can tell you, since he's been training in Trinidad, going the opposite direction, so the direction you have here, he's been going excellent, and he's taken to the turf really well. He's angling, he's changing his leads correct, and then the work we did him a gallop on Saturday morning here, and the exercise rider was very pleased with him. So we're hoping for the best. He's taken to the track very well, and he's adapted very well to Barbados.
Of note is that Trinidad has not won a Gold Cup since 1988, when called to account gallop to success in a then record time for 9 furlongs. So we're almost there, just 2 days away from the big one. Anne-Marie Burt, CBC Sports.
Thanks so much, Anne-Marie. Now, here's what's coming up in the world of sports tomorrow, Friday, while the West Indies and England will meet in the first one-day international of their 3-match series from 9:30 in the morning at the North Sound Ground in Antigua. Coverage will be live on CBC TV8 and radio station 94.7 FM. Also, around that time, the Stilettos boys will have their day in the sun at the National Stadium for their inter-house sports. Well, that is the finish line, folks, for Sports Night. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Damien Best. See you again.